Guys, I've been doing financial planning as a job for about 15 years now. It's my 16th year. I started when I was quite young, came out of the restaurant industry, and I got an interview, and they said, this is what I need to get done. I'm like, no, that's fine. How difficult can this be? And they said, and I thought, well, I'll just have to go and see people and sign up policies. Everyone needs life cover. I mean, everyone needs savings. Everyone needs stuff. And I quickly realized that financial planning is something that, I don't want to say wasn't taught to me, but it's the basic fundamentals of appreciating funds and money. Because the thing is, when we look at money, we think it just comes and it has to stay there. And if you don't plan with it, and you don't work with it, and you don't understand money, and you don't know what you want to reach with it, then the money won't last. So people like us as financial advisors, it's not meant for the wealthy. And that's something that I saw very quickly. Is that financial planning needs to happen with what you've got. So yes, you might have a broker or financial advisor coming through and always trying to sell you something or try to get something out of you. But the fact of the matter is, when you do financial, you can just switch over to the next one. When we talk about financial planning, and we understand, so the quotes will come up, you guys can just read it. And when you understand that you need a goal, and when you see the goal and you visualize what you want to do with your money, and it doesn't matter how much you earn. It's not the millions or 100,000s. It's a little bit you have that you make the most of it. You have to pay taxes. If you fall into the brackets, one of those things. You have to save 10%. And you have to give 10% away. Because that's part of it. Because if you've got 10 Rand of 100 Rand, it's the same as 10,000 Rand of 100,000 Rand. It's the same pain. It's the same discipline that you have to follow. So, firstly, you need to trust the plan. But you can't have a plan if you don't have a goal. So if you don't know what you're saving for and you don't know what you want out of it, you don't know what you want to do with your money. And it's okay if it's cars and houses and education planning and food and clothes. It's okay if it's materialistic things. Because I'll get through to legacy building that we don't always get. But you need to understand what you want to do with your money, with whatever you get. So you first have to do your budget, nee? You need to understand your budget. You have to, no, just leave it on that end. So when you understand your money, you know what you want to reach, and you've got a vision for it, you have to budget for it. So you take all of your income and your expenses, and it doesn't matter if it's green, that means you've got money left in the bank. Or if it's black, that means you square. Or if it's red, that means you've got minus. Okay? But you have to stick to the budget, because there's nothing more fulfilling than seeing the red go into green. Because when you've got your budget, you understand that this is what I can afford for the month. If it's 100 Rand, 1,000, 10,000 or 100,000 Rand. Because you can never go beyond that. So we all want nice things. But you have to save for it. You have to understand that this little bit that I've got, I need to work with it, because this is all I have. And if you go into the negative, we're in a very fortunate country. It might not seem these days on the news. But you guys must understand the opportunities that we have. We can work our day-to-day jobs, and we can generate other incomes through other sources as well. We as young people are entrepreneurs. Okay, but it comes with a price. And it's called discipline. Okay, and we've got a big lack of discipline. I'm 36 years old, and I've got 3 kids, and I'm married, and I don't have discipline. Because they drive me mad. Because it's difficult. Because or you are born with discipline or you're not, but either or you can learn it. So if it's in your workplace, if it's in your studies, if it's in your budget, financial planning, the way that you bring up your kids, doesn't matter. You have to have discipline. And a budget is discipline. If you can't write it down, it doesn't mean nothing. So if you've got a computer and you've got Excel, put it in Excel. Do the calculation, it's a plus and a minus. Money comes in, total deductions, that's what I'm left with. First save. Okay, so your taxes, the money comes in, you get your tithe, your 10%, take your other 10%, and that's your savings. Live on about 60% of your income. That's scary, huh? Or let's say 70% of your income. And that's very hard. But when you've got the discipline and you do it with the small amounts, then you can do it with the bigger amounts as well. And that concept you have to understand and try to figure it out. You can't wait until you're going to earn 10,000 Rand a month, or 100,000, or R1,000,000 a month. You can't wait for that day. Because how can I appreciate the small things with a lot of money? You'll waste it. How many stories have you heard about lotto winners? People win the lotto and then buy the cars. I mean, look at the movies. Look at the football players. They buy the stuff and then like this. Do you think it's gone? The house gets repossessed. Why wasn't the house bought cash if I had the money? I bought the car. Why wasn't the car bought cash? It's a depreciating asset. So where's the planning in that? You know, so if I planned properly, surely the money would have lasted me. So if compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world, I mean, that's how Warren Buffett made his money. I mean, that is what it is. That's what Warren Buffett said, and that's how he made his billions. Because the thing is, if you invest 100 Rand today, at the end of the year, you'll have 1,200 Rand, right? If you put it into a fair investment and you get a 10% return, you would have earned 120 Rand for doing what? Nothing. So now the following year, you put in another 1,200 for the next year, plus the 120 that you had, plus the 120 interest that it accumulated. That makes it 2,640. 10% of 2,640 is 264 Rand you made for doing nothing. Okay. But what's the catch? Discipline. Okay. You could save the 100 Rand. Now, I was telling Patrick, I said, I'm not going to be ignorant about this. It's not that we are a youth group and we don't drink. You know? So, if it's a... I can't. So, if it's cutting down on something silly as... I said to Patrick, a case of beer. He said, no, that's too much. I said, okay, 6-pack then or something. But if you cut down on the small luxuries of life that might not be in line, if it's 50 Rand, if it's 100 Rand, and you cut that down and you can put that money away, aren't you in a better position? But you have to make that decision. So when you do the financial planning out of it, you've made a plan, and you're executing your plan through disciplined actions. Come. Then you need to think of protecting it. So now you've got the money, you've done the budget, you've got the disciplined actions, but you have to protect it. Okay. So there's no such thing as quick money, ne? Get rich overnight. Okay. So the lotto goes up to 125 million, 200 million. I saved $1,000. My chances is better than it was last month. Huh? I mean, I've got 1,000 rand more than last month, so let me buy more tickets. That's not protecting your funds. You've got a long-term strategy with your money. You understand that protecting your money is making logical, informed decisions. Okay, so let's say education planning. If I take out something for education, the plan is for education, for university. So when I get a flat tire, I should have planned for emergency fund. Okay. I don't use my child's education fund to fund the flat tire. Okay. So for you, in order to get the right interest rates, we need time out of it. So each investment has its own kind of protection plan, if I can put that. So you don't take risk with money that you would need most probably within 24 hours. But you don't use the money that you've saved for a specific goal. And it's okay if it's for a deposit for a house, a car, furniture, school fees, schooling in general, my own studies. But it needs to be defined. Then let's talk about something like protecting the well-being and the future of your family. So a legacy gets built. You can build a legacy for your children. You can build a legacy by, I want to say in a way, sacrificing your own livelihood today. So you make certain decisions for your brothers, your sisters, your kids. So in the event of you passing away, for instance, you don't want to leave your family with debt. So for those that have children, you can leave, if you pay a small premium and you put, let's call it 500,000 rand, it's not meant for you. It's meant for the legacy of your children. Make sure that they don't have to go and borrow money for your funeral. Now, guys, this is a difficult thing that I'm touching now. Huh? So, this is not negative talk. This is not talking about disability and death, and that's not what it is. It's about protecting your income. It's protecting your family's well-being. Because for those of you that is breadwinners, if you take yourself out of the picture, what stays with the people that you leave behind? What do they do if you're the breadwinner? So you need to be buried. You still need to leave the income. What happens if you can't work anymore because of illness? What happens if you can't work because you're in a wheelchair? Your life stays exactly the same, huh? Nothing changes. Nothing. The only difference is you're not earning an income. Still have to pay the bill, still need to get to work, still need to cell phone, still petrol, still food. So there's ways of protecting your income, ways of protecting your wealth, ways of protecting your investments. Because not everything, one thing you guys must understand that you need to be sure of, it's called living too long, dying too soon, and paying taxes. Okay. Because if you don't pass away before age 65, you will retire. Now, if you're 30 years old, you've got 35 years until age retirement. You think that's a long time. Before you know it, Think of the last 5 years of your life. What can you remember? Think how quick the last 3 years went. Those of you with kids, I see there's a 3-year-old most probably, eh? Almost. You remember that date of birth like yesterday. Before you know it, you're 60 years old. Before you know it, you're 50 years old. You look around and you say financial planning, I want to plan just for tomorrow or for the end of the year. What about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 20, 25, 30 years? That's what you want to get done. That's where your headspace needs to be. Because when you've got the bigger picture, you understand exactly what you need to get done today. Because you break everything down. So it's a very simple exercise, but discipline is the killer. Disciplined actions. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So if your budget is in your head, it's false. You have to write it down and understand and see the income flows. So next year you get the increase. You get the increase, but you don't put it into your budget. And we use excuses like, I had to use my bonus, I had to use my increase for this and that and this. But in the meantime, you increased your lifestyle by silly things. Could it be, we all would like a nice GTI, But that's the first thing. The moment you graduate, you earn your 30, 40,000 rand. The bank says, hey, I'll welcome you with loans. I'll welcome you. That's the best SMS anyone gets after that first paycheck. The bank is saying, please, we want to see you. You are important to us. You are a valued client. We would like to upgrade you from a platinum to a wealth solutions client. Mr. Private. At an increased levied rate of only 50 rand, you've got access to private banking. You're like, whoo, I want that black card, that. And they increase your credit limit. And they give you that nice loan, 50 grand, 100 grand. Interest rate at 15%. I can't even give you that on the interest rate on your savings account. And now you're paying compounded interest, the eighth wonder of the world, on debt. And you miss that payment. And the bank says, thank you very much, $185, back payment. And you get this car. And you buy this car, and the bank says, at 72 months, you're buying a depreciating asset that's costing you money, but I look cool while I'm doing this. Okay, at 7.5 grand a month. And the first thing you let go is the insurance. And it's not my fault someone drove into me. But now the GTI is just a GTS. So you have to, if you budget it properly, you would have understood that it's okay to drive the Polo and pay 4 grand a month and pay 1,000 rand on my insurance. It's okay. It's okay to do less because I want to buy a property, a true asset. You buy that property and it's yours. In 20 years, but it's yours. But the bank isn't taking away your property. Okay. So you've done proper planning because you know how to work your budget. Doesn't matter if you earn 1,000 rand. Doesn't matter if you earn 10 grand. Doesn't matter if you earn 100,000 rand a month. I've seen many, in all of our eyes, rich people, big houses. But I can assure you they might earn 100, 150,000 rand a month. But your red, my red, and their red, it's the same red. Debt is debt. And they go to sleep with 1 million rands worth of debt. You might go to sleep with 1,000 rands worth of debt or 2,000 rand. And I've seen rich people that has a lot of money because they looked after their money. And I've seen poor people. My grandmother is one of those. Government grant, 1,190 rand. And she always has money. She always has money. There's always money in the bank. And she works with it properly. And when you do the financial plan and you understand that you trust your plan, you set out your goal, you've got a vision for it, you budgeted for it, you're protecting your funds, you're protecting your family, you understand the numbers and you are measuring it. That's the first start. That's your first start to financial freedom, guys. And people like me is not meant for people with just high incomes. My number is there with Patrick. And if you feel like you want to have a chat, we have a chat and we do this on an individual basis because that's what's important. Financial planning is education. It's not about buying a product all the time. It's about understanding how do I operate with what I've got. Okay, can move on. So building my legacy. All good men and women must take responsibility to create legacies that will take the next generation to a level we could only imagine. Building a legacy is more than you. I think that's most probably the only message. You can take the next one. Building a legacy is more than you. It's for the generation that comes after you. Brothers, sisters, family, kids, spouse. Because if compounded interest is the thing that I can make, then surely it's not for me. Because when I'm 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 and I left money, if it's a house, investments, wouldn't that put my children or my family members or my people I leave behind in a better space? I don't know about you, but sometimes my father thinks I'm going to look after him one day. and sometimes we feel that is our responsibility. But life is pressing, huh? The fact of the matter is, the grandparents are looking after the parents and the grandchildren. Because the right path wasn't most probably followed with money. Because it's fine to spend everything that I've got now. So building a legacy, you need to... I read a book. And building a legacy, what would people say at your funeral? What would people... Not what an awesome person he was, or how great, and what did he... What would people say? What would people say of, what did I leave my daughter? What did I leave Isabel? What did I leave Alyssa? What did I leave? What did I do? What was my purpose? How well did I do this? You know, what will people say of you? And again, it's one of those things that you need to go and write down. Go and write down your own, what do you call it? Obituary, yeah. I had an Afrikaans word in there and I thought, yeah, I don't know. So write your own. Write your own and you'll be pleasantly surprised what you want out of life. Huh? I mean, if you sit there and you sit for a moment and you write, I've lived a full life and I have this and that and this. Although it doesn't mean anything because you're not there anymore. But isn't that a way of putting it into a vision? Isn't that a way of putting things into perspective, what I actually want? I mean, I've got no purpose or whatever to own a Ferrari. Really, I don't. But I would like to drive one at least. I would just just to feel it, you know. But there's no need to drive. There's no need for me to own one. Not for me. But for someone else it might. For someone else it might be, I just want to drive a Polo. You know? But if that's the case, then that's the case. Then put it down. Because then you know what you're working for. And you know what you're going to leave. Because maybe if you want a house and your circumstances will not in your lifetime maybe provide for it. But what if you leave that house to your children, to your siblings? Here lies Mr. Blah Blah, and he left this, full life, saved, understood this, understood that. He knew exactly what he wanted for us. It's not a lot of parents, I don't know how many parents is in here, but even for yourself, understand what you want out of life, because money is difficult. Money is difficult. It's a constant fight. It comes and goes. It's a discipline. It needs to be planned for. So when you know what you're doing for it, and you know who you're leaving it for, maybe it makes your life a little bit easier. Because then you don't do it for yourself anymore. You know what you've got for yourself, but you know what you're doing it. You know what's the bigger picture. You know that generations to come will be educated to make the right decisions. I was never taught how to budget. And when you start budgeting, it's hard. It's difficult. I get into financial planning and I'm thinking, budget. Oh, okay, let's try this thing. No, skip it. I think till today I find it difficult to budget. It's difficult to budget. It's a discipline. But when you know what you're doing it for and what's the reason behind it, it makes your life easier. So let's talk about, I've done the budget, I've got this vision, I know what I want to get done, but now I need to protect this. I've done that. But I need to make sure that this legacy lives on. So what do? We need a will. Okay, so who's got kids? Well, I don't know. Patrick, I don't know if I must do this. No. No. So don't have to raise your hand. Let's rather not. So if you've got kids, ask yourself, do you have a will? Okay. So what is a will? A will is the thing that determines what happens to all of this asset, what happens to the money, because what happens when someone passes away? Now the family members comes in there. I want that picture. I want that piece of cloth. I want that piece of kitchen teas. I want that machine. I want this car. And now they fight about things in the house. I live there the longest, so I can get the jewelry, I can get this. I want the cat, that one wants the dog. Yes. It's just a big mess. Okay. And it's difficult because the moment someone has passed away, you need to go and register the death. The death takes 30 days, it needs to be in the paper. To say this person has passed away. Because by law, now there's a claim on the person's estate. Then that needs to go from there, it goes to the executor. The executor sees all of the assets. Then they need to look at all of the assets, and then somehow they need to disperse all of the stuff. If you've got a will that you can do for free, you say, this goes there, that goes there, this goes there. Now you've got kids and you've got a life policy. Policy is meant for education. That policy goes into the will and that goes to Isabel. Now, something happens to you. Uncle, mother, father knows there's 500,000. 500,000 is tied up for the children. Done. There's a lot of broken homes in this country. So you've got the stepmother, stepfather. Father's not there anymore. Mother's not there anymore. The purpose is to leave a legacy, a controlled legacy. And the money gets put away and it's done. So if you've got funeral policies that you've taken out over the phone, know many of those. Platinum Lives and One Life Directs and the banks, and they phone you. If you've done your budget, you would know how much is going off your account. And when you accumulate everything, you'll soon realize you're actually spending like $200 on funeral covers. Can't you utilize that money a little bit better? Do you need all of the funeral cover? Do you want R1 million worth of funeral cover? You know? I mean, so I understand funerals are expensive, but I do, and you guys can assist me with this, but I think with the younger generation, it's not like funerals are being held as big as what it used to be. Let's invite the whole community. There we go. I know in the Afrikaans community, we don't have funerals in the week anymore. It's now on a Saturday. So where it used to be in the week. But the thing is, at the end of the day, is it what is needed and what's your request? What's the thinking behind it? As younger people, and I'm not shying away from decision, guys. Please don't, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, understand how much is your funeral going to cost you and where do you fit. So if it's a 100,000 rand funeral, have 100,000 rand worth of funeral cover. If it's 50, it's 50. In my case, it's a 10 grand thing. Okay. Okay. Small little pieces of bread, cool drink. There we go. Thank you. Cheers. So guys, for those that is saying you mad, there's no ways this is a 10 grand thing. Okay, go look at your deductions out of all of these things you're taking over the phone. See what matters. If you don't know where to start, speak to your financial planner. Take your bank statement, take your budget, and go through the stuff. Not everyone will assist you. But find the one that will assist you. There's many. Go on. And we will obviously be able to assist you. But the long and the short is that when you understand what you have, and I need to leave money for education purposes, or I need to leave money because my mom needs money if I'm not going to be there, or my dad needs money that's not going to be there. The last thing you want to do is leave money and it gets spent. Because we might be 45, 50 in a room. We understand this, but when we go home, do the people at home understand this? So now they get 500 grand or 200,000, 150,000, 200,000. The purpose is for leaving a legacy. They get the money, and what do they buy? The GTI. Okay. So there's purpose with money. It's not about ruling out of the grave. It's that on the day you learn something and you're putting action to it. And that's a big thing that we need to realize. We're putting action to it. We're not ruling out of the grave. We're not being negative. It's as real as what Joburg is today. It is what it is. So you can hear that I don't sugarcoat things. And okay. So when you put your will in place, make sure you allocate. For parents, it's big things that's part of it. Who will look after my child in the event of my passing? What happens in the event of both of us passing away? Who will look after my children? What happens to the money if all of us pass away? You're traveling together. Okay, those are things that we don't want to think about, and it gives us shivers. But I can assure you, the loved ones that you leave behind will appreciate the actions. And you would leave them a legacy. Can you imagine? Father, mother lives until 90, and I'm 65, and my father leaves me R1 million of his life policy. I mean, that's a big portion of my retirement savings. And he leaves it to my children. And my children is 18 years old. And he's or she's good in music. And they get accepted in this overseas school. And all of a sudden the funds are there. And they go and do this, go to the music school, and they come back and they are a big success of funds that was left to build a legacy. Or funds reinvested to look after mom or dad or the children. Okay. These are big portions of building a legacy. And then it's the teaching and the education out of it. Because you can't teach something that you haven't done before. And how does our children, I don't know, who's the eldest here out of all of the siblings? Who's the not the eldest, I mean, who's got siblings, but you're the eldest. They look after you, and I mean, what you do is what they do. Okay. So if you're the youngest, you look up to your eldest. What did they do? What did they do to become successful? Or what did they do not to become successful? So when you start budgeting and you start looking after your legacy and you start looking after your well-being and your future, then surely the rest will follow. Because it's your actions. It's your actions that defines you at the end of the day. And that's how you create a legacy. It's not always only about money. It's about your actions, your disciplines that you've done. If you get those small little things into space, into place, then people will really start following you without you even knowing it. You'll be surprised. Think about your mentors and people that you look up to that you never said, "Thank you that you've taught me this or this." You just do it because you say, "Oh, it works." It's that small little actions in your households that makes the difference. But how would you know if you don't exercise it? How would you know if you don't speak to people? And that's mostly my message around building a legacy today. It's not just through life policies. The big one is the will. There's too many people without a will. Because a will is seen as, I need an asset. I need to be rich. No. You need to avoid conflict. Okay. You need to make sure that those things are in place. So I like this one from Warren Buffett. He's got many. But someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. So when I was in Sunday school, we planted small trees. And today, my kids can have picnics around this stuff. And it's something that you put in the ground and you just forget about it and it grows. You nurture it when it's small, and then it becomes a habit. It just takes it on and it just grows. That is really, you can move to the next, that is really what wealth creation is. You don't find someone that gets a lot of money and then does the right things and then it just grows. That's why lotto winners don't make 60. They just spend all of the money and they just don't think about it because you think it will never run out. So wealth creation is something whereby, again, you need to see the bigger picture. You need to understand your why. I think for parents, sometimes it's easy. For young people, I would say it's even okay for the GTI. But then you have to have saved for that GTI. Debt. Debt is a big thing. Huh? Debt is false security. Debt is things that's not yours. And then we can say we need debt, and debt is important. But the thing is, if I bought a car, if I saved for 5 years, now let's say you're 19 years old, 24 years old, you could buy a second-hand Golf for 20 grand. Okay? Next 5 years, you get a promotion, you save another 1,000, 2,000, 1,000 rand a month or whatsoever. You look after the Golf, you don't go and make donuts and spend the money on on tires, or take out an RCS card to pay for the tires because you want to buy the GTI. You take the Golf, save the money, sell the Golf. The nice thing about a Golf, you'll sell it for 25. You sell it for 25 plus your savings, you buy something better, maybe at 60. 3 years later, you save a little bit more money. Before you know it, you bought your car cash of 100 grand. Then you get into a sales position where it's a good thing to have car debt because it's tax deductible. You put down the 150 or the 100,000 that you bought your car and you only finance 100. Pay the 100 off in 4 years. Now you've got a car cash of worth of 220,000. What about you do the same thing on your property? It's difficult enough to get a bond these days. I mean, credit is a not looking for nice words now. It's not easy getting a bond of 500, 600, a million rand. You need to earn a little bit of money. Yeah, a good 30% out of it. Yeah. So you know that. So you take this and you buy this property, but you've got transfer fees. So above 900,000, you've got your transfer fees, bond registration, so you're up for 100K, huh? on a 900,000 rand house. Up for 100K cash. But we're going to buy a property, huh? We're going to buy a property in 5 years. But you forget that I need to save 100K. So you have to do it in stages. When you are young, do it now. Save now for that money. 50, 60, 70,000 rand. Hold on the smart things. You've got full lives. You'll get to 40, 50 and you'll see the money will be there. It will be in abundance. Because you have to work for it. There's no other way. Work for it, hustle for it, do whatever you have to get done, but you have to manage it. But you buy your property, and it's not to say because the property is 1 million rand, I have to have the debt. The thing is, you could have saved up 100 or 200,000, put it down, finance less so that the interest doesn't kill you. Wait a little bit longer, maybe. And then, now that you've got the home, you think you got an SMS when you got the promotion. You must hear the banks now. Let's refinance your house. Let's give you an access bond. I mean, you've worked so hard for this property, you get an access bond to buy the GTR for 20 years. A depreciating asset you buy over 20 years. I've seen it so many times that our parents work so hard for these properties. They pass on, we get a property for free, and what do? We refinance that property for a bar. R1 million, and we take the R1 million in our bank accounts. And you pay that R1 million off over 20 years. And you go and buy SLK. Madness. But we do that because the opportunity is there. So why wouldn't you do it? Because you don't know any better. So before you make the decision, make sure that you understand it. Mr. Google is lekker. Financial plan is all out. So go and make sure, and is it worth it? And if a financial planner is going to tell you, rebond the house and invest the money with me, please chase him away. Or chase her away. Okay, because the interest rate is just too high. You can't make the money back. So it's those small decisions that you make as young adults today that makes a difference when you are 40 years old. And it comes quickly. It comes quickly. If you think who's 25 years old? Okay. If you think when you were 20 years old, if you think of the last 5 years, what you could have done better with your money. What could I have done better? Not what I could have changed. Not life dealt me bad cards. No, that's decisions. I mean, that's just a life lesson. That's a decision. Money is a decision. So now I'm 20 years old, I'm working, I'm earning $6,000 a month, staying with my parents. Oh no, I'm not going to, this is me. 19 years old, working, earning money. Father says, if you don't like it, under my roof, you'll deal with my rules, and if you don't like it, then move. I said, sweet, took my bag and I went. I moved back into the house 3 times before I was 25. That's a decision. If I stayed in the house, sucked it up, saved $3,000 a month, problem solved. It's those small decisions. And I can assure you, if someone speaks to you in 10 years from now, same kind of talk, you'll think it's too late. It's never too late. I speak to people that's 50 years old. Retirement is on their doorstep, 15 years. I'm like, you have to do this. Sell that BM, sell that, cut down your lifestyle, pay off the debt, punt it into retirement savings. Manage your risk. Understand your business. Understand your money for what you need it for. Emergency fund. Don't take risk on the money you need tomorrow. Okay. Don't take risk. If it's business risk, financial risk, portfolio risks, don't take risks with your money, what you need tomorrow. You need a plan. I need emergency fund, at least 1 month, 2 months salary. Then you need about a 3-year plan, a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plus. When you start saving for retirement now, doesn't matter how small it might be, you'll be much better off. If you take the person that started saving when he was 20 years old versus 10 years old, but putting 3 times as more away, the person that started with the 50 rand still had more money at the end. Because that's the beauty of compounded interest. So even if you save 10 rand now, it's not about how much it is, it's about the discipline that you have with that 10 rand. That little saving tin, 2 rand, 1 rand, 2 rand. It's the start of small disciplines. 5 rand. R5 that you put in that tin, do that every single week. You start off like that, R5 a week, R2 a week. But it's disciplined. Every week you do that. Just get it done. Next year you've up it by 10 Rand or whatever, to get the habit in. Wealth creation is also money that works for you one day. When you are 55, 60. Enjoy life, but don't be stupid. That's what financial planning is. Enjoy it. You're allowed. We must have all the nice things, but make sure that it falls into that budget. Understand the fact of the matter that you're going to turn 65 years old, and who's going to look after you when you're 65? You don't know what your health state is. You don't know where you're going to stay. You don't know if your children's still going to be here. You don't even know if there's going to be government grants if we need to keep on paying Eskom. So you need to take this in your own hands, because that's what money is. It's in your control. It's what you do with that. Wealth creation is built over time. Financial freedom is over time. You make small sacrifices today. I don't know if I've got another slide on savings. No. That's how I sum up what we have to get done for the long term. Have a goal, execute it, focus, be disciplined, no fear. Tomorrow will look after itself. It's what you do today that determines tomorrow. Small little things, small little rands and cents, small little savings. Start with your bank account. Test your own discipline by putting away 2 Rand in a little tin every week, 5 Rand. Because the fact of the matter, if you put 5 Rand a week, you know you'll have 2.5 grand by the end of the year. Ne? That's 5 Rand a week. So never mind if you do 50 Rand, that's 25 grand. Plus interest, do about 26. Small, doesn't matter what paycheck or rank you are in, or what side of the tax bracket you are part of. The principle stays exactly the same. And that you can read in books of Bill Gates, Oprah, whoever. Richard Branson. They all started somewhere out of garages. Yes, they had an idea. But do you think they had $1 million to start their idea? They worked in coffee shops and they worked for minimum wage, and they took their little bit of money and they said, okay, fine, I'm not going out, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. I'm taking this money and I'm investing it in something that I'm working on. But he knew exactly what he's going to give. He knew exactly what's the end goal. That's the biggest thing. The vision is there. Not everyone's born with vision. But understand your why. Patrick says it so well every time he sees me. What's this why? It's digital media. Marketing. No, it's not that. Our why is our financial freedom. And if it's not for me in my lifetime, it must be for the next generation. It must. Because we can't, if we don't do it for the next generation, how can the next generation not do it for the next generation? And make a better South Africa, a better country, a better place to stay, a better neighborhood, a better whatever. It's a decision by you. Just assisted by one of the tools like financial planning.
You knew my sin. set out a plan to redeem my soul. All of heaven leaned into grace. Jesus the King